First, combined state interoperable executive committee and CLM, Connecticut Land Mobile Radio Working Network meetings. We did this on purpose. Clayton and I worked this out to try to see if we can actually accomplish both meetings at the same time, instead of having two separate ones, which we all tend to go to anyway. So without ado, I have a quorum for the SIEC, so we'll start with that. We cannot approve the September. Can we approve the September 2021 minutes? We don't have any. We had no quorum last week. Sorry about that. Clayton, you're next on the agenda. Statewide Interoperability Coordinator update.
I was going to say good morning, everybody, but I think I'll use afternoon. I don't really have an update, but I just want to thank everybody for joining today's meeting. As John said earlier, we've been talking about this for a while. A lot of the information shared at the Interop monthly meetings is pretty much mirror to what we share with our user group. And we thought it would be really beneficial for those in our user group to hear the information shared in the Interop meetings. So we're going to see if this works for everybody. Hopefully the meeting won't take too long. We shortened our user group meeting up a little bit, but the information is still going to be really good for everybody. And as always, any questions, just reach out to one of us and we'll try to help you out. But I do appreciate everybody chiming in. And John, back to you.
Thank you, Clayton. I was remiss again. I missed public comment. Is there any public comment out there? Anybody who wished to comment?
Good afternoon, Chair. This is Evan Hollahan from Verizon reporting out. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just reporting out on network build-outs over the last few months for Verizon. We've added capacity to 24 sites. We deployed an in-building in Danbury Hospital, as well as brought on 29 5G small cells and brought online 4 macro cell sites in Canton, Cornwall, Cheshire, and Southington. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Going once? Twice? We'll move along to working SIEC Chair report. I'm sort of sad to report right now that we've been advised by the city of Danbury that they no longer wish to host the MCV that's assigned to Region 5. John Field, the region coordinator of Region 5, has done his best efforts to find another municipality in Region 5 to host that vehicle without success. Therefore, we're going to put out notice to all the other municipalities in the state, if they wish to host that particular unit, that it's available for them if they make a proposal. So that's going on. That's kind of sad news for Region 5, because it will certainly make it more difficult for them to get MCV services, as it's not part of their regional scope. But we cannot find anybody else to take and agree to the MOUs and the rest. Another piece of very sad news is Rita, some of you may know Rita Stewart. Rita was the grant supervisor for DEMHS. Much of the funding that we have received over the years was directly related to her ability to channel funds to worthwhile projects. She has left and gone to the University of Connecticut in the grants management position over there. And our grant staff is obviously scrambling a little bit to make sure everything gets done and the money comes in. Rita has been instrumental probably in bringing most of the funds that we've received in grant and EMPG regularly and steadily into the state. So that's a sad loss for DEMHS. That's all I have for the chair's report. We'll move along to working groups, technical working groups. Scott Wright.
Hey, John, what the new format? Do you want to report out stuff on during the clean room part of this, or how do you want to do this?
Things that relate to Connecticut Land Mobile Radio, doing the CLMRN report, but if there's any other technical issues we're looking at, go ahead right now.
We'll delay it to the clean room part.
Okay, so it's really okay. Very good. Next item is the broadband working group. Gary McGarriger and Bob Jasinski, if you want.
Good day, Mr. Chairman, and good day to everybody on the call. FirstNet continues to make steady progress towards our final operating condition, which is round one of build out that occurs in March of 23. We're also in the process, our fiscal year, as you know, coincides with the federal fiscal year. So that's October 1st is the beginning of that. So we haven't solidified all of our plans for next year. So if anybody needs any education or would like outreach, this is a perfect time to let us know so we can get you in the calendar for that. And with that, that's pretty much the ongoings for the FirstNet Authority.
Bob Jasinski, are you on?
Yes, sir. Nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. Also, just to
Mr. Chair, before you
report
move on,
state, pardon me?
do we also need to, do we owe you a call for the CRDs?
The CRDs, we're waiting for information on the from AT&T from user groups who have used them so we can see what their experience has been.
Okay, let me chase that down for you.
Okay, I just replied to John Emra from earlier this morning. One other issue that has come up is that the distributed antenna systems that were part of the state plan, one has been successfully installed in Troop C in Tolland and is working very well. Two more are pending Frontier pulling in backhaul. That's the one at the State Armory, State EOC, and Brainerd Field, the alternate State EOC, which the physical equipment is installed, but we're still waiting for backhaul. This will provide us with a dedicated non-wireline service in those particular buildings that we could not guarantee before. So that's all I have on broadband. Any questions for broadband?
Hey, John.
Good afternoon, Bob DeBella, Johnny.
Yes, Scott.
Hey, I just wanted to pass along. You were talking about the DAS that we added to Troop C. I will tell you that we used that last week, and it played a key role in some of the activities that we did. So that was a home run for everybody involved, and many thanks for you and Robert for making that happen.
Thank you. Bob DeBell, you had a comment?
Yes, sir. No, I just joined, sir. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Make sure you sign in on the chat so we have a record that you're here.
Roger.
Boy, people keep joining every minute. Okay, broadband is complete. CMed Working Group. Benny Morris, are you on the call?
I'm on the call. I'm telephone number 860-0350 if someone's recording. I just wanted to say that the Connecticut EMS Communications Directory is moving forward towards finalization. It's a project that we've been working on for some time, and we're hoping that we'll be able to get that finalized and out for distribution. And that's all I have to report.
Well, thank you very much, Betty. Any questions for Betty? Okay, State Fire Plan, Communications Planning, Kevin McManus.
We have nothing new to report right now.
Thank you, Kevin. By the way, the Fire Chiefs Technical Advisory Committee will be meeting shortly again in the month of November to look up their fire service needs for communications.
Required to attend.
That meeting came out today. We're going to move on to Training and Exercise Working Group. Wayne Grunland, Keith Victor.
I'm watching. These guys are phones.
I have a report.
If you want to hang up, I'll sit through the rest of it.
Go ahead.
Okay, bye.
Go ahead, Wayne.
The big news from Training and Exercise is the communications exercise is going to be this Friday and Saturday for communications unit leader, communication technician, and AUXCOM trainees to get their position task books signed off. Setup will be at Camp Hartel on Thursday. Because of the pandemic, we've been working on this for almost 2 years. CISA is sending a contingent of contractors to host the exercise, in addition to getting several individuals fully qualified in their respective disciplines. We're working towards creating a core group to be able to host this type of exercise using just in-state resources. Keith, anything to add?
Well, I just need to know what time we're supposed to be there. I think they said 10 o'clock on Thursday, correct?
10 on
Correct.
Thursday, yes.
10 a.m. on
Okay.
Thursday, 7 a.m. on Friday, 7 a.m. on Saturday.
That's why I'm staying over Thursday and Friday, so I don't have to get up 2 hours early.
Any questions for training and exercise? Good work to the training and exercise folks for finally pulling this off. It's been a struggle keeping it going, but great work for them. So we'll be able to get these ComLs, ComTs, and AUXCOM certified. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Region 8 and 19 report. Jerry Zarwanski, do we have anything new to report?
The only thing I have to report is the FCC came out with a 4.9 gigahertz order. And in that order, it identified incumbents can begin to make changes to their existing license. Under a special circumstance with a waiver, you can apply for a new license in 4.9 gigahertz. And also, for those that have not, you need to do a geographical license in 4.9 gigahertz to be coordinated properly. I mean, you could do a self-license modification, or you can go to a frequency coordinating agency such as APCO, and they'll do it at a minimum cost via Spectrum Watch. Also, for the regional chairmans, vice chairmans, and technical subcommittee, there's going to be a 4.9 gigahertz webinar held at the November all-call meeting. So Scott, right, you probably want to attend that. So put that on your calendar. And that's all I have. And our next meeting is scheduled for December 14th.
Okay,
That's
thank
it.
you very much, Jerry.
Yeah.
We now have, the next thing is our updates from our regional representatives and organizations. We'll start with Region 1. I know, Joe Gaudette, you're out there. Any updates from Region 1?
Hi, John. Hi, everybody. Yeah, we continue to meet monthly, John. Our focus is, sustaining the existing projects that we have. The region's put some money towards FieldCom 1, which is supported by Fairfield County Chiefs as well as the region. We're going to do some training with the COM team, and UASI, our UASI system down here continues to be a high priority. Other than that, status quo, John. Nice to see everybody.
Thanks, Joe. Any questions for Joe Gaudette? Okay, Region 2. Any report from Region 2?
John, it's Kevin McManus. I'll just quick report that we were able to accomplish about 95% of the interoperables, getting them updated. So that was a good effort by everybody. A couple stragglers, but thanks to the CTS unit and the IMT, we were able to get those portables updated.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Jake, do you have anything to say about the PSAP to PSAP project?
It's moving forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, nothing more from Region 2? Region 3, Mr. Victor.
No report. No report.
No report from Region 3?
No report.
Okay. Region 4, Dr. Grundlin.
Yes, sir. Region 4, ESF2, MCV4, and the Region 4 Incident Management Team all participated in the State Emergency Response Commission, or SIRC, full-scale hazardous materials exercise in Putnam on Saturday, the 25th of September. It involved, from the communications perspective, helping to draft the comms plan on Friday evening as part of the IAP development. And on Saturday, we provided 2 crossband patches. For those who are familiar, Putnam is high VHF, and they're an island in QV land, which is all UHF. So we supported a couple of VHF, UHF patches to get them on Fireground. In addition, we had 2 stocks boxes set up for the hazmat specific and the entry team specific part of it in supporting exercise communications. It all went very well. We had a glorious day, and looking forward to the next one.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. Any questions for Wayne? Okay, Region 5, Al Russo, you're out there. I know you are. You're on mute, Al.
I think we're all going to have to learn to read lips.
Try this.
You're on mute.
Am I back?
You're
Can
back.
all right. Thank you, gentlemen. ESF2 Region 5 did meet. We are updating our TIC plan. Yesterday, I did attend an REPT meeting and was first made aware of the October 15th deadline that the commissioner had put on getting a host for Region 5 MCV. Let me start by saying I'm deeply saddened that our EMD refuses to support this project. Now being made aware of the deadline, I have a Hail Mary, a couple of thoughts. So I would ask the state's indulgence to unofficially give me a couple of months to work on this while other regions are considering hosting this asset. But I understand. Thank you very much.
Al, just so you know, John Field received the notice from the city of Danbury that they were no longer going to be able to house it indoors as of November 30th. And so you need to work with John Field to get this resolved.
Okay, I understand it. I had a conversation with someone, and the housing is not the issue. It's not.
Understood, but
understood. I understand your point, and I've said my piece, and thank you, gentlemen, and standing by.
Thanks, Al. Any questions for Al? Anything else from Region 5? Okay, what's the Sarasota? How are the tribes doing these days?
These days, the tribes are pretty busy. I have nothing to report as far as that's concerned. Things are well down here in the little corner.
Thank you very much. Federal agencies, Phil, what about the Coast Guard? Phil Mikan.
Yep. Hi, John. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm on the phone and on the computer as well. No, nothing new to report. We've just been real busy. We're doing our post-SAR season meetings locally, and Captain Van Camp has had a really robust external affairs calendar. Lieutenant Governor was on board yesterday, so we are out and about, standing by as necessary. And again, coming into a slightly slower season for us, but obviously we're still participating and look forward to working forward together as needed. Nothing else.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Phil Mike and the Coast Guard? I don't see anybody. I don't see CISA on. Chris Tuttle, I don't believe he's on. Anyone else from a federal agency that'd like to report out? State agencies, Jerry Zarwanski. Not Jerry, excuse me. Nick Carloni.
Nothing at this time to update.
Nothing from DOT? Okay, thank you very much. I know Adam Theron was on. Adam, do you have anything from DEEP?
I do not have anything for DEEP at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Tim Johnson from DOC, anything from you, Tim?
I've got nothing to report, nothing new.
Okay, thanks, Tim. All right, we'll move on in the agenda. The next item is basically to turn this over to Clayton, to the CLMRN user group. It's all yours, brother.
All right, thanks, John. Hope everybody can hear me okay. Again, I know we've had a lot of people join since we opened up the meeting, so I'm just going to kind of echo what I said before. So we decided to combine the interop meeting with our user group meeting for good reason. And one of it is because there's information shared at both meetings that we think are beneficial to both parties. So we have our core group of interop users that hear about the CLMRN user group meeting, and we have the user group meeting, and everybody involved has a vested interest in Interop in this in our state. So anyway, that's why we decided to combine the two meetings. Everything seems to be going pretty well so far. Hope everybody's used to the new format. The ones that are just used to attending the user group meetings a little bit more regimented because it is a official public meeting. The last thing I'm going to say before we break into our agenda is that we are still looking for volunteers for our coverage subcommittee. We did get the bond request, and so we're going to start looking at what we're going to commonly refer to as phase 5, and it's going to be the next round of LMR improvements for our system. And so I do have 2 volunteers so far, but if anybody else would like to volunteer, just give me an email or reach out to anybody on my team and they will help you. That said, I'm going to hand it over to Julie, and Julie is our manager for our Network Control Center, and they take all of the calls and issues and complaints and help everybody that has any issues with our system and our network. So without further ado, I hand it over to Julie.
Thanks, Clayton. I'm going to go ahead and just get my screen shared, folks, so bear with me. And if somebody can give me a confirmation once you're seeing the screen, that would be great.
Got it. Good.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So for those who've been with us for the previous CLMRN meetings, you guys know a lot of what I'll do is a little bit of stats just regarding the system. Scott Wright will, I'm sure, no doubt, provide some additional information in his portion. So I'm just going to give a little bit of highlights that we have going on in the NCC as well as some system stats. So let's see. NCC updates. We're still working through our deployment of Manager of Managers. What that is that is a system that brings, basically it's bringing multiple monitoring tools that we have in one place to a single pane of glass for the operators to be able to utilize. Anyone who's been in the NCC, and you can see by the picture there, which is older, we have about 10 screens at each position. So we're just really trying to consolidate things as much as possible and bring everything in and actually correlate these alarms so that it is easier for the NCC staff to find a root cause of an issue. You know, to be able to determine whether it's fiber transport or microwave transport, or whether it was maybe a channel that went down. So, and then what it impacts downstream as well. So that difference between root cause and effect. So we're very excited about that. We just had a demo this past week, and we're looking forward to start testing that out soon. So hopefully by next meeting, I'll actually be able to do a demo for you folks. We're also upgrading our network management computers. Again, just looking to be able to handle the extra softwares and programs that we're utilizing. And we're also updating the ETS phone system. For many of you folks, you may have seen them at some of the other agencies and at the troops or at the shelters. We call those our BAT phones. And we're moving that over to a VoIP system. The old one was over 25 years old, and we were struggling to find replacement parts for it. So we're very excited about that. They've been out deploying that wiring and installation of equipment. I think we're still a few months away before it being fully in place. They still have to do server configurations and so forth, and actual deployment of end user devices, but it's very, very excited to get those in play. So one of the other things that I like to do, since I have such a wide audience, is introduce you guys to our team members that we are all so proud of. Many of you guys have probably called in and talked with Miss Colleen. Colleen Pensinel is our NCC team leader. She's been with us for 15 plus years. Primary duties, you know, she does all the...
So the youth detective is going to come with me. I don't know that, you know, he can certainly talk about some of the cases.
I'm not sure if you can hear me, but somebody's not on mute. So anyways, Colleen is, in addition to the daily NCC operations, she also does admin on-call. She helps take care of any of the aliasing updates that occur for the radios, radio onboarding, inventory tracking, helps with scheduling and coordination, and just provides general support and updates to management regarding hiring, training, and team member performance. And she likes to spend time with family, cooking, and hiking. So for anyone who hasn't reached out and met Colleen, you know, next time you're calling into the control center, please let her know you heard about her here at the CLMRN meeting. She's a great help. And we also are going to introduce Miss Cinthya Perez. Cinthya is a recently NCC Operator 3. She's been with us about 4 years. She also helps with level 1 and 2 support, general, like she's one of the people that you'll talk to when you call in. She's mostly there on the weekends. So those people who might be calling in trouble on Saturdays and Sundays will hear from Cinthya. She helps us process alias changes and subscriber and inventory data, along with any sort of, she helps us keep other databases up to date. She's kind of our lead when it comes to Everbridge updates, in addition to anything that we might escalate up to our Everbridge account manager, Mr. McManus. And she aids with NCC training as well. She is currently pursuing her bachelor's degree in criminal justice at the University of St. Joe's in West Hartford, and she likes working out, hiking, reading, and traveling. So again, that is Miss Cinthya. Getting into the stats, calls and push to talks by month. So we just broke this out. I actually, because we didn't have a meeting last time, I wanted to give you guys stats for that last Q2 just to kind of see the difference between where we were then and where we've been this last quarter as well. So again, you're going to see the breakouts here, breaks out the different call types, group calls, individual calls, and then push to talks by console, group, and individual. Obviously, you'll notice that the individuals are so small they don't really register, but it does have number information there. And obviously, our push to talks for September were quite high, as were our group calls in September. So you'll see that jump and spike there. Again, this is a breakout of talk groups for that second quarter. Our heaviest hitter was, looks like New Britain PD Patrol, followed by, I'm going to blank on this. I can't remember the town code for T135. Anybody can help me?
That's Stanford. Stanford.
Stanford. Perfect. Thank you. So as you can see, again, there's the breakout on how we do it. I've got the code on this end. We'll be happy to send you guys this information from the slides for anyone who would like it. And then we get into, I like to show you the difference between push to talks and airtime. There are some subtle differences between these. As you can see, for airtime, we're looking at Connecticut Tax C actually ranked in there. So they may not be hitting the button as many times, but they're obviously having longer conversations is basically what that means. And then again, you can see the breakdown in the time for the other talk groups that are there. And then same data coming in for Q3. There's airtime. Again, Stanford took the lead on that one. And one of the other things that we wanted to talk about for folks was good ways to send alias update information to the NCC. So I've worked with our team, with Colleen and Ernie, particularly in the control center, to just put a spreadsheet together. I know many of you guys are familiar with our radio onboarding spreadsheet, so we wanted to keep that same similar format. So once we put this together, we sent it off to Scott and team with CTS to kind of review and authorize. So we're just going to keep a basic spreadsheet that you guys can email over to us. And information that's critical to have is going to be that serial number. We need to know the status. Is it in service or out of service, you know, lost, that kind of information. The location, alias that you want it to be, and then what the asset number is. If you have the current alias available and the custodian's name or where specifically it goes, and you can see by the example here, Obviously, we have a location of Bridgeport, town of Bridgeport, but this particular radio is for Bridgeport Fire Department. So if there's key information like that that you want us to know or keep in our record, just add it there. But it's not required in order to do the alias change. We do have our email address right here listed, and that's where you would email your form to. Like I said, at the end of the meeting here, I'll make sure that that gets sent out to the group, so you guys have it. And as always, we want to thank our CLMRN subscribers. We're growing so much that we've expanded past our initial heart, and I now have a lovely tower over here. That's right, I did that with my artistic ability. Again, if you happen to notice that I've missed your patch or seal, please send it to me. You can email it to that desp.ncc email address, and I will be happy to get added in there for the next meeting. And with that, I'll see if anybody has any questions, or unless, Clayton, are you reserving that toward the end of the meeting?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody has any questions now pertaining to Julie's presentation, feel free to ask, but overall questions, we can wait till the end.
All right, hearing nothing, I will pass it on along to the next person.
Okay, Julie, this is Mark Gorka, and I'll give you a brief update on the MOU status. We have a total of 104 MOUs currently executed with various municipalities and public safety partners. There's another 67 that have been sent out, and we're just waiting for their return. Public safety partners who have signed an MOU since our last update include Essex, Harwinton, L&M Hospital, Essex Fire Company No. 1, Killingly, Stevenson Volunteer Fire Company, Connecticut State Capitol Police, Naugatuck Ambulance, and Voluntown. And I just want to take a brief, very quickly, show you our webpage. We went over this in April, and I'll just do it briefly because we have some new people. On the DSET website, you can click over here onto the CTS page, and it contains information about the CTS unit, Land Mobile Radio Network, some benefits of joining, information about the NCC, some frequently asked questions. You can share this with anybody. And probably one of the most valuable parts is here on the coverage maps. This is going to be updated later this week, hopefully by early next week, with all the municipalities and public safety partners that are currently live on the network. So this is a map for municipalities. There's one for PSAPs that will be updated very shortly. And there's a draft MOU here as well in our contact information, just to give you a quick overview of that. And that's all I have for the report.
Thanks, Mark. Scott, I believe you are up next.
So thanks, Clayton. Let's see if we can get this to cooperate. Hey, look at that. Technology, it's great. So, hey, thanks for everybody for sticking through with us. I know it's a lot of information in a short period of time. As Julie said, we look at a lot of statistics, and one of the things that I'm showing up on the screen now, and we can send this report out, so I don't want to go through every detail, but year to date, we've had a 48.5% increase in system minutes and a 50.2% increase in trunk system minutes thus far through the end of the third quarter. That's a tremendous amount of growth that we've managed, and we've also maintained our great grade of service for our service users. It also shows the robustness of this network, and we haven't even begun to tap the capabilities of the network as far as handling traffic. It's truly a great testament to everybody on this call, every party that's a member of this, that's participated. I know sometimes it's a little painful as we go through some of this, but we want to make sure that we maintain that greater service for each and every person and entity that is on this network. There's a lot of traffic. You can see the 15.5, almost 15.5% growth in the amount of active talk groups on the system. You know, it's just a crazy number of push to talks throughout the system. We're up to 30 million almost 30 million through the end of the third quarter. So it'll be a record-breaking year, of course, and it so far is working out really, really well. Some of the system enhancements we've done in the last quarter is we've implemented our West Zone. So that is, we have, for increasing our resiliency and redundancy and capability and capacity on the network, we have implemented another zone on the network, and that's what we call our West Zone. And so like today, for instance, the Troop I dispatch center is being cut over to the West Zone. We did Troop A last week, so Troop I is this week, and Troop I's RF side is going to be done next week. You heard Kevin McManus earlier in the meeting talk about the reprogramming for the Region 2 interop radios. That was key to get done prior to us moving the Troop I folks over. It just allows us to do a lot more with the network as we move on. Westport is on the network. They came up at the end of August. We have integrated their Bayberry Lane site into the network. They did their testing and they've demonstrated a 100% pass rate in a random 12 dB building at a pretty high DAQ, which is a delivered audio quality rate. And that new site is part of the G subsystem, and it really helps out the system. And this is a great way to show how this collaboration works. That we had a area that needed some enhancement along Route 15. Bayberry Lane is right near the Parkway, and this is going to fill in a great spot. And we've been working with Matt Cohen and the great team down in Westport to do that implementation. We've been working with some great folks in Bridgeport to implement their subsystem as well. They added 2 sites. Bridgeport's going to have their own little subsystem for the city of Bridgeport for a whole lot of different reasons. They also did their coverage testing, and they also demonstrated a 100% pass rate in a random 12 dB building at the same DAQ. That's some phenomenal coverage with some minimum sites needed, especially for Westport. Westport's got some pretty interesting topography, and they're achieving a pretty high coverage level in their town. As we move ahead, we're looking at some sites. Waterford, we continue some investigation with Waterford, and we keep peeling back the layers of the onion and finding some things that we need to address. So we're looking at that. We're working with some partners on the K system capacity. We want to bring the K system from the 6 current RF channels up to 12. K is kind of like the meeting of the minds as far as the state goes. And there's a lot of activity on K. In order to provide at the same level of service for the number of users that want to come on the network, we need to expand the K subsystem. Danbury, we're working on a new simulcast site at Danbury Hospital. Danbury Hospital has been great to work with. We are initially looking at adding a standalone site, but the more we peeled back the layers of the onion and we looked at it, it made a lot more sense to make that a simulcast site for our friends down in the city of Danbury. The purchase order has been submitted, and we hope to be moving forward with that shortly. Heartland, looking to do the Heartland Tower, which is going to greatly help us out up in the Barkhamsted area. And we look to have that done in the first quarter of 2022. The Barkhamsted Reservoir is such a hard area to cover, believe it or not. In the initial contract that went out in 1999, that area has been specifically excluded by contract. And we're going to be now able to include that. That's important for our friends, especially for Adam and our friends over in Deep. There's a lot of state forest and parkland up in that area. And working with Adam and the resident trooper and the fire departments, we were able to establish and find some tower site that's being developed. So that's great news. Branford's being built. If you go by exit 56, you'll see the new tower up in the air. Our partners at Motorola are working hard to implement that site. That's another area that we received some feedback. You heard Julie earlier. You know, we had people call in and say, hey, you know, I'm having a problem in this area. You know, can you look into it? We looked into it. And we could use some coverage enhancement. Yes, we have 90% mobile coverage, but we can always make it a little better. We can plus it in Walt Disney's sense. So we are building a site out there that's going to greatly enhance both Troop G and Troop F and the coverage along 95, as well as our partners in North Branford and Branford. And we really look forward to that when that comes online. Clayton talked about phase 5 a little bit. We are reviewing some coverage propagation maps and current structural and fiber facilities. And we go back and we pull up those requests on potential coverage enhancements. And we talk to our partners, hey, where can we do this? Where can we put a site that would help everybody out? You know, the partners have greatly added with significant gains in the network, especially in the D, E, G, H, and I areas, and F is common. Add that to our ISSI connections with the city of Middletown, the city of Waterbury, and the town of Wallingford, and we got some great coverage. Clayton talked about the looking for some partners to talk to us about the establishing a coverage standard. So please reach out to a member of the CTS engineering team. Happy to hear from you. Happy to have your input. You guys are very important to us as we move forward with phase 5. Julie touched on the manager of managers. This is something we've looked forward to and worked towards for the last year or two. That's really going to help her folks manage the network and tell us what's going on. If, God forbid, something happens with fiber or microwave or power or a piece of equipment, is really going to nail down where exactly this is coming from. This uses artificial intelligence to really narrow that funnel of things down. It's not unusual to see over 1,000 to 2,000 alarms for a single incident. And we really need to narrow that down for our folks to tell us what exactly is going on with the network. And that's going to aid us greatly. We use a product called Genesis. Genesis is what helps develop our statistics. We've been working with Genesis. We did an upgrade in July. We've been working with them since to try to streamline some of the reports that we get and get some a little better information. And that's a pretty daily thing that we're working on. We continue our investigation with the enhancement of our LMR-LTE integration. Motorola has announced the end of ordering for the legacy Wave product, and we're working with Motorola and some of our other partners to look at what options are available. Some of our towns use the LMR-LTE Wave product. Some of the state folks are using the Wave product, and we need to know what the next step is. So we're looking into those possibilities as well. We continue to work with our manufacturers on firmware and software. Matter of fact, starting next week, we're going to host one manufacturer performing some regression testing on their software and somewhat unique combinations of infrastructure here in the state. And we got to really emphasize this. Please do not start using firmware and software that we have not tested and shown that work on our network. Our engineering team and my guys and the whole CTS engineering team spends a lot of time looking at this, and sometimes, unfortunately, the manufacturers are pushing out firmware and software that we're finding does not work quite the way it should, and then we have to go back and fix it. In some cases, you can't fix it, and that just leads to problems. And so we are going to make this information available on our website as far as what the current level of firmware and software is for each of the manufacturers on the network. Please, if you're going to do an update, please check with us first before you do the update. Preventative maintenance, these things got to be cared and fed for. Talk to your folks as to your vendors of choice as to how often your subscribers should get some preventative maintenance. Make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. We're working with a couple of our partners with E.F. Johnson on their OTAP server and a beta with that. That's working out phenomenally well. With them, we're working with Tate on their OTAP server as well as an ISSI beta. And we're working with L3 Harris on some advanced access control keys. Unfortunately, some information got released a little prematurely to their network of vendors and manufacturers representatives that was a little inaccurate, so we're working on correcting that. Little statement about end of support. Make sure you talk to your folks about your vendors about when support for your particular product will end. These things do end after a while, and it's important for budgetary purposes to keep on top of that. Our team, or the entire team, has been absolutely crazy busy with the towns that are coming on the network, the agencies that are coming on the network, and that kind of thing. And on top of that, we've been doing multiple fairs. We're doing coverage testing. We had the unfortunate, tragic loss of Sergeant Mole with a line of death funeral. And last week we supported the POTUS visit to 2 different sites in the state of Connecticut. So our team has been phenomenally busy. And what's nice about this is, as part of this network, we can tie in everything that we've done with the BTOP fiber network, with the PSTN fiber network, our network, and your resources, and it all works so much easier than it ever did in the past. Some of you folks have used our MCC trailer. We're buying another one. The purchase order has been submitted and the purchase order has been issued. And to help support our friends on the network, we're buying another one. It's worked out really well. We continue with the training and conferences. Our users are reminded that we work with Motorola Solutions on an online training program. There's absolutely phenomenal training available there. To me, it's an absolutely ridiculously low price. Don't tell the sales guys I said that. But the cost for that is very, very reasonable. We included a use case for the deployment we did at the Durham Fair as a test and as a exercise. Our engineering team rolled out a transportable site, one of the brand new transportable sites we got. We have 2 of them. We rolled that out to the Durham Fair. We implemented it with the assistance of the folks in the town of Durham. We used ISSI with the city of Middletown. We used the Durham Fair facilities. We used the town of Durham facilities. We used BTOP. And that site, over the course of the Durham Fair weekend, saw about 3,500 push-to-talks, of which about 86% of the non-console originated PTTs originated on that transportable site. The Durham Fair's got a lot of metal buildings, presents a challenge for coverage with land mobile radio, and it worked like a champ. We talked to some of the chiefs involved, some of the participants, and they said it worked absolutely flawlessly. And we thank them for their participation. I anticipate we're going to get that request again. We've got CLMRN now has 2 transportable, what we call standalone sites that we can deploy on the field. We can connect it via internet. We can connect it via PSTN or BTOP fiber, or we can backhaul it a couple of other different ways, or it can stand by itself. But those are an offshoot of what came out of the beginning part of COVID, and those are going to be available. You know, if you've got a thing going on and you need better portable coverage, let us know. We can roll one of these things out and we can enhance that local coverage. And many thanks to our friends over at Norcom for building these things. They worked out phenomenally well, and we greatly appreciate it. With that, I'll turn it back over. Greatly appreciate everybody's time. If you have any questions, let us know.
All right, thanks, Scott, for that update. Appreciate all the information. So we're about to go back into the regular agenda for the interop meeting, but I just want to open up to anybody, if anybody has any questions about any information that was presented by our team. You can do a hand raise or simply just chime in, whatever works for you. And if people have questions they want to ask afterward, they can feel free to get in touch with anybody on the CTS team via email, cell phone, whatever device you prefer. I guess we're pretty thorough in our coverage, so I'm going to hand it back over to Johnny G.
I'm here. Very nice report. Very, very nice report. Very, very, very good to hear after all the years we've worked on this together, and it's coming truly to fruition. The great goals of interoperability of the early 2000s are certainly being recognized and happening now here in the state of Connecticut. We're going to move on to old business. Last month, Rich LaSaracina mentioned some concerns he had regarding the infrastructure being used by wireless companies and being provided to us for infrastructure. How well put together it is. We're talking about things like backhaul, use of fiber versus use of copper and things of that nature. Bob Jasinski has been reaching out to the wireless companies to obtain that information, and we hope to have something more in the near future so we know what that infrastructure looks like. It's wonderful to have all the great RF, but if we've got wires hanging from trees and they've been torn down after a hurricane or a tornado or a tropical storm or you name it, that's a problem for us in communications that we have to be able to figure out a way to address. So hope to have more for that shortly. I don't believe there's any other old business, so we'll move into new business. I understand Gary McGarricker has something.
Yes, John, thank you very much for your time. I did forget one item when I was giving the broadband report. Just to remind everybody that 3G is being phased out by the FCC, and that's all happening. All the carriers are going to phase that out in 2022. Those of you who may be on the FirstNet network shouldn't need to worry about that because we never operated in a 3G environment. AT&T is reported to be phasing out their 3G operations in February of 22. T-Mobile's reported to be doing that in June, and Verizon in December. So if you still have some of those legacy devices out there, this is the time to start planning for that. We did run into a mobile command center in during the marathon last week in Boston, tried to stand up some 3G stuff, and it wasn't working. So there's no time like the present to start planning for that.
Thank you. By the way, just we had the same situation. We had a cache of flip phones in the state EOC. They've since been replaced with iPhone 11s for emergency use in the state EOC. So that is up and coming very quickly. Any other new business from anybody? None appearing. We have correspondence. Bob Jasinski, have we got any correspondence?
No, sir.
Okay, we have been in correspondence with FEMA Region 1 concerning the Region 5 vertical antenna system, pending hearing from them on final approval for that device. So that's pending with FEMA. No other, that's the only interoperability grant award that we would have had. Next meeting is November 16th, 2021. Is there any other business on the part of anybody who wants to bring forward? None appearing. November 16th, 2021. This meeting is adjourned. You all have a good day.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you.